When in 2002, Justice Mulenga set the standard on the freedom of expression, it was never imaginable that this much forward in time, with the advent of social media and the democracy of opinion, the right would come under heavy debate. From Stella Nyanza, Kakwenza Rukirabashaija, to lawyer Male Mabirizi, and even legislator Francis Zaake, the debate remains open as to what can and cannot be protected under the freedom of expression. Do individuals have a right to use of derogatory language, false claims, and malicious attacks against those whom they vehemently oppose? But those seeking to regulate free speech have good intentions in the protection of public interest? What even is public interest? Tonight on The Spot, we host Kampala legislator Muhammad Nsereko, who has proposed a law to regulate freedoms of expression online, and Isaac Semakadde, a lawyer who defends those who toy at the edge of the freedoms of expression. Isaac and Muhammad, gentlemen, thank you so much for having honored our invitation. A warm welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
And let me begin with you, Honorable Muhammad Nsereko. You are, by the way, our MP even here where we are. And so the Parliament is approving your motion to go and bring a bill. But just bring us to speed on exactly what you want, what that bill will entail, so that from you setting the stage, it gives us an understanding, and then we can have a conversation.
Well, the entire gist of this bill is to raise more sanity on the use of the computer. Of course, we are in the first generation of technology. I've told people about technology. As a person, I have a passion for technology. I know it's one of the things, even in our Vision 2040, but all over the world, that can transform this world. But if technology is not well used, I don't even would like to call it abuse. If it's not well used, then you may fail to harness. Now, the event of social media brought dynamics into technology. Of course, we in Africa fell into a space that we were not prepared for. The computer started in the 60s, 70s in the modern countries. There people have been prepared for this, and society have had all laws regulated around that usage. It's something that is new to us, just like the evolution of our democracy. I was in Parliament the other week defending the rights of our young brother, Kakwenza. And for sure, I have no doubt I stand on his side, and he knows it as an individual, because we've been talking every now and then. So this is not in any way coined with that, because I started talking about this in 2016. Then I first tried to seek leave in 2017 and 2018, but now I got the leave. Now it coincides at the moment, of course, where there's this drama around it, the torture, ABCD, but torture has been going on, even on not only on victims of their freedom of speech, but to those that have been under the suspicion of terrorism. You know, the Senfukas, you know, the Biamukama, you remember the FDC mayor of Kamwenge, and other people, the infamous Nalufenya, to mention but a few. So talking about torture, it hasn't started today, but also talking about that thin line from Stella Nyanza. It didn't start with Stella. You remember the Mwenda cases and others were there even during publication, Charles Onyango Bo and many others. So it's not an event, a new invention, that in Uganda, where people have probably failed to toe the path of the line of those in government, they have, you know, been taken to the corner of the ring, or boxed into the ring. Now, for me, what I envisage to do is to strengthen this law to protect the following. And I can tell you internationally it is working well. I would like to thank all the people that have given me numerous calls thanking me for this. The children. You have no right whatsoever in enjoyment of your freedom of expression and speech. First of all, it's not absolute. That one, you know, as a matter of fact. I have the freedom of movement, but I can't just walk into this studio. Someone will stop me. So there is no right that is absolute. Every right is regulatable. In this case, I'm telling you something that is real. No one has the right to share the pictures of his son or of your son or daughter because they are minors. Even if they are not pornographic, they must seek authority and consent. More so in the era of social media where I can share, create a story, put it on YouTube, and I be paid. You understand? So the law will be tough on that, and I can assure it will. If I have a disagreement or an agreement with you, I mean a disagreement with you, whether it's business or politics, I have no right whatsoever to lift the battle and post it to your children. Or even if we don't have a battle, without my authorization, you cannot post pictures or videos of your child, of his child or my child, because they are minors and every society must fight to protect them. 2, you cannot spread hate speech against a given cluster of people or individuals that is bent to ridicule them, degrade them, or treat them inhumanly. For example, they can be minorities in society, and this is all over the world, or it can be due to their ethnicity, it can even be tribal, and if you did this, it can be a precursor to causation of violence or genocide in a country. Okay. And I can tell you, if this space is not regulated to this, you might be laughing, or the world might be laughing, but this is how Rwanda slipped, slowly, with the invention of the radio. That someone set up an FM and they just spoke recklessly, and tomorrow bodies were lying, thousands and thousands, on the streets of Kigali. Therefore, of course, there is a mitigation. What is the freedom? We have freedom whatsoever to disagree. We can even sit here and disagree. But if I disagree with you, there must be a limit. That I don't come here and I say he's a cannibal, because he's not. I can say Mr. Semakadde or Council Semakadde has done this and this and this, and I don't agree with his school of thought. Let me Therefore,
you represent the constituency, Honorable Muhammad Nsereko.
Can I finish? The disagreements must show civility if we are to build a space in a country where we want to build a nation that moves towards unity for common purpose. 3 or 4, for state actors, no one without the authority of court shall have the powers to intercept any of your communications. You've had people coming out and say, I have your printout here. How did you get it without the authorization of court? It will be punitive that you do espionage. Either you can even be doing it on your spouse or someone in a business relationship where you want to hack their secrets. You hack their emails, you hack and intercept their conversations. If you want to record me, I must authorize you. In 2002, there was no video call. Now I can call you on WhatsApp or even make a group call, and then I record you without your knowledge. The laws outside this country are that you must inform me that you're recording me, and for what purpose. There are some people, I've gotten calls from young girls who have said, listen, we've gotten into relationships with people, and when they get us into rooms, they record us forcefully and blackmail us, or even unknowingly. When I got a job in the bank, one was telling me, because I fear that I'll be fired, I nearly committed suicide, that someone is telling me that we must share your wages every month. So everything unveiling through this is causing some people mental stress and mental torture. Whereas there is full freedom of speech and expression. There is no freedom for cyber stalking. There is no freedom for harassment. You have no right to print a false story or make utterances about me. This singer, my friend Haruna Chitoke, has people, relatives, who collapsed when someone came up with an audio recently, it's just I think a week and a half, that he was dead.
All right.
So the mental stress that his family is going through is the justification as to why we come up to say, no matter who you are, even if you're in government, even if you're outside government, you must have a limit.
All right. I think you have made a very good preamble. You have helped us to set the stage. We now understand where you're coming from and where you are right now. I just want to refresh your mind because a few months back, I was actually watching your own videos, Honorable Muhammad Nsereko. Yeah. And I remember you lambasting, ridiculing President Museveni.
What did I say?
Equating him to Gaddafi, to Saddam Hussein and his children. In fact, that can also be criticized, can also be understood to mean harassment and abuse.
Absolutely.
And you are actually asking for a longer sentence to somebody who is harassing and saying all these things.
You don't even have to worry. Just a second. My video is there.
So
even the person who said it, I'm here. Yes, and can I repeat that statement so that you don't mislead the people? Because I'm here. This is what I said. Your Excellency, and I repeat, if you surround yourself with advisors that do not give you the right advice, and you elude yourselves from getting people that are honest, you'll end up in such a way like leaders like Gaddafi have ended up. And I was referring to the people during the COVID lockdown. One, the extremism that was meted by the LDU people by caning a woman downtown. Two, by confiscating borders, and I gave the example.
So now, who is... Okay,
and therefore, just a second, just a second. Because, just a second, can we go? Because all my live shows, can I go slow? All my live shows that I've made are there. The president in the next address came and said that all those officers that beat up people were doing it illegally.
So now, when you say that President Museveni can
therefore, I didn't ridicule him.
Like Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein.
It's not actually an insult.
Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
Yes, you know, that's what the problem is. What you think is an insult, somebody may call it an insult.
No.
It will be a subject of interpretation.
That's okay. You see.
Then how do you deal with the subject? Because somebody can interpret it differently.
You see, Kamara, I'll give you an example. What you may interpret as an insult, to tell me as a leader, I'll give you an example. To tell me that, Honorable Muhammad Nsereko, you may end up like Saddam Hussein. Of course.
Okay.
Ending up like Saddam Hussein,
but
a second.
Do we agree that there could be a difference of interpretation on what is an insult and a criticism?
No, but we've said anything malicious.
What does that mean?
Okay.
Now, malice,
all right.
I can go to you. Malice, in its own interpretation, is any utterance that is, first of all, it must be false in its nature, and two, meant to ridicule me in society.
Yeah, but somebody, for example, President Museveni, who is supposed to be like the fountain of honor, can also, understand your statement to mean that you're equating him to the people he sees that he's miles away from.
Then we go to the courts of law.
And he knows that you have abused him.
Then we go to the courts of law. Because even up to now, he has the chance to do it.
So you know that in the proposition you're making, you could have actually committed a crime.
Absolutely.
You could have committed a crime.
Absolutely. And
in the eyes of President
Kamara,
Museveni.
can I tell you, if you think you're going to use such a statement, not to let me do the right thing, you're just dreaming on this set. Because I know every statement that I used in my life.
I don't have to take everything because there's a particular
context. Yes,
that you've already said.
If President Museveni continues to listen to advisors, and I repeat because I can say it, and that is positive criticism, which I've said on the floor of Parliament and here.
Okay.
That authorize the use of force
you stand by your
on
statement.
people.
That's okay.
I stand by my statement.
Right,
Just a second. First, because it's factually true that the LDUs...
We get it. You stand by your statement.
Can I continue?
You stand by your statement. That's okay.
You want me to speak or you want to speak?
No, you have made the statement. You have repeated it several times.
Can I finish? That the LDUs get sticks and whip people extrajudiciously and kill them. Of course, that is not within the law, and it was factually true.
Isaac, you listened to the proposition that the Honorable Muhammad Nsereko is bringing, and at one point I've seen you try to defend the freedom of expression. What do you make of this proposition? Should we get worried?
Thank you, Patrick. I want to start by being very candid. There is no proposition in everything that Honorable Nsereko had said. He has huffed and puffed, blown hot and cold, but said nothing of significance. However, he has revealed a lot about his evolution as a politician and as a citizen of this country. I think it is about time, my former teacher, for you to reflect on your political journey, because you have, in this long monologue, shown us the beginning of the fall of the allure, of the hope and promise of a generation that Nsereko once led. You speak of trying to offer alternative advice to the president, but my friend, you sound dictatorial and undemocratic. You have opened up a clear path to hell. You have to take pause and take stock. Let me say a few things that I noted from the monologue that are important. Honorable Nsereko, you would never have gotten leave to introduce this nonsense under Honorable Ulanya. May God bless him to get better. Never. Never. He would have talked to you in a very parental manner and brought the full weight of political experience to dustbin your proposal, if at all. You would never have gotten that leave under the most erudite and experienced Honorable Kadaga. And you've confessed right here on national television that you made attempts to introduce such crookery into the parliamentary hazard, and you flanked. So that's very telling. That's a very important revelation. The other revelation, of course, is...
The Parliament is an institution. They're not individuals.
Yeah.
I wonder why you're picking out a few people.
Thank you for
schooling
him.
Parliament is an institution.
Yes.
It's not an individual.
Oh, no,
So,
no. He knows exactly.
It's Parliament
I'm glad that
has given him leave to go and work on this bill. It's not an individual. Or, Mr. Semakadde.
That's also very revealing, perhaps. Thanks for the clarification. But you see, before Honorable Nsereko gets to speak on the floor of Parliament, his motion or his proposals have to go through the Business Committee, which is chaired by the Speaker. So all I'm saying is that under the past leaderships, he tried and failed to even get the chance to address parliamentarians. No, but if you say that he has gotten this leave from his colleagues, then again, we have seen an evolution of the generation I said. Because now Mr. Nsereko is a senior parliamentarian.
So, okay.
He's a 3-term parliamentarian. He's a senior leader. Honorable Nsereko was once presidential. He ran for speaker. He is not a non-entity. He's one of the most outspoken legislators. That's his record on corruption and governance. Yes, he's quite a man of some substance. At least he has been.
I told you.
At least he has been. But if Honorable Nsereko, in this moment in time, this is his big, buffet for Uganda. It's a disappointment.
Okay, let me. Isaac,
yeah.
We have a generation of people, who are in an industry of outrage. They are, keyboard warriors right now. The internet brigade can spew words to sometimes very innocent people. A lot of profanities. I wonder, would you want that to continue?
Well, That is the very selfish and outlandish view, with respect. Those people who raised them and what examples have they seen? These are the Vazukuru of Museveni. If I gather, that's what you mean.
Well,
when you say there's a generation of outrage, is that what you mean?
I see it as if it's an industry of outrage, people spewing words, profanities, you know, even to, you know, very innocent people. And I'm asking you, would you give them a platform to continue?
I don't have to give them a platform. They have a platform.
What would you do?
They've always had a platform. I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. This bill, this law is talking about, of which one...
Isaac, I don't think you have actually even answered me. I just want...
No, you're asking me. You're asking me.
Do you support that, Isaac?
You're asking
Isaac,
me.
Do you support
you're
that?
asking me.
Isaac,
you're asking me to
Isaac
accuse a community.
Isaac
I reject that.
One at a time.
You're asking me to reject a community. You ask me to reject a community.
Just let him flow.
You ask me to reject a community. I reject that. I reject that nonsense. Honorable Nsereko is pontificating.
Let him make.
Honorable Nsereko is pontificating.
You know why? He wants to make his poem flow so that he can finish his documentary.
Perfect. You want me to go my monologue the same way? But answer your question.
So answer your question. When you get your documentary, like they were recording it,
monologue.
You can. But I want him to flow.
Have the discipline he had to listen to you until you concluded.
So he can flow with his funny documentary.
If anything, he has about 2 minutes to...
Patrick, to answer your question, I'll answer it very shortly. I reject an invitation to accuse a generation. I reject an invitation to accuse a class of people. In fact, that's a sort of hate speech methodology he was offering.
Have you been able to see that some people have used a language that is not palatable? A language that is abusive. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. Yeah. We speak with evidence. Honorable Nsereko has been given 20 minutes.
Isaac
he has been given 20 minutes.
You haven't seen anybody on the internet use a language of profanities, a language that is abusive.
When profanities are used, what reaction do they elicit?
No, you're telling Ugandans you haven't seen people abuse.
Why does it bother you?
Other people.
Yeah.
No, why does it bother you?
No, I just asked a question.
What happened to those people who were abused?
For heaven's
sake. They die? Did they fall sick?
Okay, that should be the secondary. If you say yes, you
because I don't know when you say
you don't
when
know.
People whisper, when people have conversations in the street, I do not hear them. That is social media. Society is talking. That noise drowns out. The only person I can hear right now is only you and only Nsereko. I cannot claim such phantasmagorical abilities to listen to the conversation of a whole country
Isaac,
or a whole generation. I don't have that power.
Across.
And even the government can't.
You must have come across.
Yes.
Statement of what.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
You haven't. Okay.
Give me an example.
Okay, well, it's okay. The thing is, you have not seen anybody abuse another on the internet.
I'm not in the business of surveillance.
That's okay.
And, measuring.
I want to put that right on the record.
Abuses, their weight, their height, their measurement. I'm too busy for that. And every Ugandan is too busy for that.
It's a blessing to be busy. You have not had or seen anybody abuse the other on the internet. That's okay.
And I haven't seen anybody complain about it as well.
Gentlemen,
and I haven't seen anybody complain about it. I've tried 20 cases on computer misuse. The section is saying all those sections mentioned Museveni or his mother or his relatives, none of them ever walked to a police station and said they have a...
All right.
It's the most abused law.
Yes, Isaac and Muhammad, hold on to your points, gentlemen, because we're going to take a break.
I've never seen a complainant of an abuse. Never.
And on the spot, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guests this evening are Honorable Muhammad Nsereko, and we also have an office of court lawyer, Isaac Semakadde.
I think we all are.
All of you are. Okay. I hope you're not going to do this to confuse me on your altar, on your legal altar, but I'm up to the game. So can't we find a way of, instead of going legal, to dialogue as Ugandans, to agree on what, some kind of rules of engagement. Because I believe if people express themselves, it sort of acts like a vent for the anger to go out, as opposed to bottle ourselves, don't talk, don't say anything, and we're bottling up all this anger. Let them talk, let them express themselves. I have seen you appear on actually a program on this channel, NTV, called the Vigambo Tevita. Words don't kill. Why are you so worried?
So anyway, going to the point without meandering into what you're trying to speak.
I'm not meandering, actually telling you, a Vigambo Tevita, for which you are a talk show, you're always a panel.
They're calling out your hypocrisy.
My role is to educate society, not to try to follow a certain narrative or path. I've told you of two things. One, every society must be regulated. I remember one friend of mine told me that, Honorable Nsereko, how come when people go to Saudi Arabia they don't steal? Not that thieves don't go there, but they know the cost of stealing is so huge.
I have seen allegations of Saudis stealing body organs from Ugandans. What are you telling me?
Telling us stories.
I have seen stories,
you know what
allegations of Saudis stealing body organs.
Then they
from
ask you,
live
Ugandans.
Ugandans.
In Bahrain, it is hard to steal. Let me tell you, if you have attended public executions of a prince in Saudi, who were in Saudi, of a prince who had murdered a servant.
Patrick, Saudi Arabia stole their life over journalists. It's not the best example.
One at a time.
Can I continue? Okay, thank you. I have seen execution of such a high-profile person because they murdered a Pakistani servant who was working in their home. But what am I trying to say? One time, a madman was taken to a center where mental health people are given reception. And he was always saying, I don't see anything. I think I'm normal. They were seeing things normally. There is something wrong if you think sharing pictures of a minor is right in society, and that you need to dialogue about that. Yes, you need to transform society by educating it, but you also need to put safeguards in society.
Can I come in with this thing of minors? The abuse of children's rights.
Just a moment, Isaac.
I think you had your time.
Actually, it is your interruption that is so infectious, because you started.
You want him to speak? I can give him time. Two, if you think that it's right for someone to intercept your phone and hack it, or your email, and hack your business secrets, for me, I think it's wrong. Three, if you think someone can share your pictures without your authority, because to them that's freedom, and they pick them and use them on YouTube and get paid as content by fabricating stories that are false about you, it's right. It's okay if you're saying something true. Society should listen to you.
Okay.
But if you're saying something false and you go and earn thousands of dollars on YouTube because you're publishing stories and making utterances about others that are false, I don't think you're good for society.
All right, Muhammad.
All right?
Okay.
So that is why I wanted to take you step by step, path by path. Therefore, you to construe it as a political law, that's within your mind. But for any person who thinks that they are doing the rightful thing in disagreeing whether politically, whether it's in form of business, whether it's social, then you're fine. You don't even need to get worried about this law. Why? The law is clearly saying that you cannot hold public office if you're convicted from today. It's not even acting retrospectively.
Yes, you have made your point.
So I've made my points on what I said.
I'll get back to you.
My brother and probably yourself do not see a problem about hacking. they don't see a problem about sharing pictures. You're saying that's freedom of expression. You cannot.
Okay, that's okay, because now you're running a risk of regurgitating.
Yeah,
You've made
we are criminalizing that.
That's okay. That's okay now, because you have repeated it several times. You wanted to interject, but before you interject, you've given us an example of Saudi Arabia. I have a problem with that, because Saudi Arabia.
Now I've said on issues of theft.
Yes, but so the same Saudi Arabia is where people have no rights, especially women. The same Saudi Arabia is where I've had honor killings. The same Saudi Arabia is where, just even on our TV, I've seen Ugandans who have been abused to the extent some of them losing their body organs. So that example, I'm not
No,
taking.
I'm talking about
because
theft.
I do. You pick an example of a pariah state.
Theft. With theft.
No, come on.
Saudi has the least indices of theft. Saudi,
But
Bahrain, I can tell you, with crimes related theft. You can talk about murder, I'm talking about theft.
We're talking about what happens to Ugandans in Saudi Arabia.
The indices about theft and murder.
Parliamentarians shutting a blind eye.
No, we've talked about that.
Turning a blind eye.
No, we've talked about that.
Isaac, it's your time to rebut.
Well, I want to start by hammering away on this thing of children. It was used to promote a law called the Anti-Homosexuality Act and Anti-Pornography Act, both which have been rendered unconstitutional.
So in short,
one at a time. One at a time.
You are a supporter and an advocate of homosexuality among children.
Muhammad, one at a time.
No, I'm only asking.
No, because you let him make.
I'm only asking.
You will respond after he's made his statement.
It's not bad.
No, these are the rules of engagement that you listen to each other.
So there are two things.
The rules of engagement that you listen to each other. One at a time.
When you listen to Honorable Nsereko, you scarcely get the view that he's a lawyer. He has forgotten the basic rules of evidence. You know, when you make law, the evidence threshold still remains. The government has a high burden to show that there is a pressing and substantial problem affecting society that requires legislation, which current legislation has failed to fulfill. Honorable Nsereko flags children, flags a few images, blabbers on, and you ask yourself, one, is he aware of the existing law? Hacking is already a criminal offense under the Computer Misuse Act.
I'm strengthening it.
Stalking.
I'm strengthening.
Cyber stalking.
Yes.
Cyber harassment.
And that's what I've said.
All these laws are here. Sharing unauthorized access, sharing photos of children, all these offenses are here. What we have seen, however, in the last 11 years of that act has been the criminalization of speech against the first family. That's the only business the government of Uganda has used this law for. To give a gilded status to one family and to cause us to remove them from our social media conversations. There is an entire police station. Currently, it's headed by Henry Kaiser and a guy called Bill Ndiamuhaki and other spies and rogue police officers under, is it called the media crimes? They just do surveillance. And you ask what tool they use? The such tool is Museveni, Kainerugaba, and others of their relations.
Isaac,
that's all. Let me give an example. I represented two ladies. He speaks about ladies and their pain. I represented Desire Luzinda in 2014. We failed to get the police to act. A whole minister promised that extradition, treaties, protocols would be set in motion so that we could have a test case on revenge pornography. The government of Uganda abandoned Desire completely. We represented other women who
need to strengthen the law.
So you're having an ally
who don't want to be outspoken about this.
So he's coming up as an ally.
To strengthen the
All
law.
I'm saying is that the law isn't the problem. It is the people around the law and the system around the law. The law isn't the problem.
I somehow see convergency.
There is no convergence.
Then I see
what happens is that we have a sufficient law to address all the ills Honorable Nsereko is pursuing. However, what people need to understand about Honorable Nsereko and his generation of parliamentarians today is their dishonesty and their hypocrisy. He says that he's strengthening the law. No, the law, by the way, you don't have to strengthen it any further.
Why are you worried?
You need to know two things. One, you mentioned the case of...
the irony is...
Let's talk the law. You mentioned the case of the Supreme Court case Onyangobo. That was 2002. 12 years later, there was another case from the African court called Issa Lohe Konate versus Burkina Faso. Uganda is a treaty member to the African court, to the African Charter. So that decision binds. It says that there should be no criminalization of wrongs that arise from speech offenses and, you know, use of speech, the word, bigambo tebita. You know, we should be moving away. Obo said it, it was reinforced by the African court in 2014, but our parliamentarians don't seem to be aware.
So now, unfortunately, you don't agree, and I find it very hard to believe that you have actually not seen people who have been abused on the internet. But
all I'm saying is...
That's a statement you've made, but Ugandans are listening.
And he says he's
no, if Ugandans have complained about this, if Ugandans have complained about this, when they walk to a police station...
Can people be critical without being abusive?
The Supreme Court decision you talked about, Obo, it said it is not the business of government to give us the medium of speech. It is not the business of government to regulate speech that way. The government must pass a high burden when it wants to regulate speech. It must state what is the problem that speech has caused and what is the exact measure, tailored to address that problem. Now, I've listened to all the problems Honorable Nsereko has mentioned, and they're adequately catered for. So it begs the question, what is Honorable Nsereko's true intention? It is to promote a dictatorship. Honorable Nsereko must look in the mirror, must face Ugandans and us and tell them whether he supports dictatorship or he doesn't.
Actually, the issue is that
I think Nsereko is going back home.
His utterances are the mere justifications as to why this law must be there.
In what sense? Why?
I've told him that, in my opinion, I'm strengthening the law. And the reason has been, one, that people have not been meted by justice because, one, there are lesser penalties.
But has there been a prosecution? Before you say there are lesser penalties, has there been a prosecution?
You want to...
No, Honorable Nsereko. You have a duty to give evidence. You are using the parliamentary hazard. Give us one example that motivates your bill regarding a child abuse.
Can you stop
one example?
Okay, shouting won't help.
Patrick. Honestly, the people deserve one example.
The rules of engagement on this show don't speak
one example.
I think if the young man wants
one example relating children.
If this young man wants to shout, he can get another audience.
He's not
We're asking for one example regarding child abuse.
Gentlemen,
one case of a constituent.
Gentlemen,
one case of a constituent.
Gentlemen, we're going to speak one at a time. Isaac, it is Muhammad now on the floor.
Now, if you have a program where the young man can shout, you get that one, so that he shouts. He asked a question.
Yes.
I'll respond to him. At least when I was teaching him when he was
a young
man.
What you just said is there's an innuendo of abuse.
He was better.
Okay, you continue.
He's younger than me, so he's a young man. And I don't think he takes offense.
A young man in shock. In shock therefore, about your degradation.
Therefore, what I've said is clear. I'm saying that any person offended can even come up with
Patrick,
a private
the question
prosecution.
was one example of a child abuse,
private
a constituent of his who failed to get justice.
You don't have to worry
one
about
example
that.
Of children's pictures.
There are many.
One example.
There are many.
One example.
There is Mulindwa,
Andrew, one example of a constituent.
There is Mr. Mulindwa,
and there was prosecution.
Thank you. There was Seremba James.
There was prosecution.
And they are saying
give us the example.
The law is not sufficient for them to protect their children.
Take us through their journey
now,
in the justice
when we
system.
Have a public
take
hearing,
us through their journey in the justice system.
I think when the
take us through their
wants
journey
to shout
in the justice system, not just
shout
not
here.
just throw
I'm
a name.
not here that he shouts because we don't even do that in courts of law anyway. So I would like him to be like
my host is the NTV.
Yeah, I know your host is the NTV.
Unfortunately, both of you have fallen short
to do drama
when it comes to following the rules of engagement.
One example, a justice story. It starts with a police station, court.
Whereas
you're not here to do drama.
And the sentence. What was the sentence in Seremba's case and Mulindwa's case?
But you see,
what was the sentence in Seremba's case?
Do you want to hear?
What was the sentence in Mulindwa's case?
So,
and how was it inadequate?
You see, I told you one man was told in Butabika that you're not normal, and he insisted he was. Probably you'll never know. If you ask
Honorable Nsereko has been sent by Honorable Anita Among. He has been sent to this station, to the parliament, by his good friend Moses.
But you see, but now you are getting...
Honorable Nsereko has returned home. Honorable Nsereko is tired. Honorable Nsereko is a victim. Honorable Nsereko is lashing out.
Isaac, I'm going to
He's lashing out against Lumbuye.
Okay. Raymond, I'm taking a break.
Honorable Nsereko is taking the law into his hand.
This is the gentleman.
Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guests tonight are Honorable Muhammad Nsereko and Mr. Isaac Semakadde. You know, when you come out with something like this and you want to strengthen the law, you know, you come out like a self-appointed arbiter of public good, and some people may think, please, you don't have to, because we already have the laws there. Even the laws that we have not been used fully. In fact, I'm sure if they have been used fully, then they will have served the purpose. You just need to enforce that we already have.
In your opinion, Mr. Kamara, today we've been working on the amendment of the Minerals and Mining Act of 2003. Just like technology, there is evolution. Laws evolve according to the circumstances surrounding society. Like I told you, 10 years or 20 years ago, if you told someone that we'll be moving towards the metaverse in technology, they wouldn't believe it. If I told you that there are cryptos in the world, that there is electronic money, and I told you that 40 years ago or 30 years, maybe a few people would understand it. That is also about technology and the space. If you do not regulate it, you can fall on the wrong side of it actually helping you
so the laws that we
achieve
have
the
are
goal.
obsolete in regard to this?
No, they are insufficient. That's why you strengthen them. Just like someone comes up with wild allegations, like I've said, with wild allegations. That's why you see there is total difference in character and expression, you know, of individuals. And that is what I'm saying. If you think, and you have the chance, that's why we go for public hearing. We invite people to give their views before we make a law. The draft will be gazetted. People will come and present their views. If you think sharing pictures of another doesn't warrant that action, then you say which one you think is sufficient. That is the process.
There's a law already.
I'm saying it's not strong. It's not strong enough.
The lack of strength is the lack of enforcement.
You see, and that is why you see someone restlessly jumping up here, because they know that by adding just a few clauses,
I want to be very clear.
A few clauses.
Okay, Isaac.
A few clauses.
Isaac, it looks
by
like
adding a few clauses.
What he's proposing is not any different from what is we already have.
That's correct.
So where is the pressure coming from?
We should not examine Honorable Nsereko's, we used to call him Professor many years ago, Honorable Nsereko's proposals from the alleged, you know, values, benefits it will convey to his sprinkling
to society
of victims that he's alleging, you know, but rather from the harm they will cause and the wrongs that they will do, because of harms and wrongs evidence we have in abundance. Stella Nyanza, for instance, was arrested, detained, tried, convicted, you know, sent to a very long jail sentence. And what was the final decision of the court? That the government of Uganda didn't even have jurisdiction, didn't even have authority to do any of those acts, because it didn't understand that when you are dealing with a computer-related offense, which is potentially virtual and can be committed in any part of the world, as a state, you must first invest in the technology to establish local jurisdiction. And nobody in the media crimes unit, Mr. Kaiza and his lieutenants, they didn't know how. They brought a police officer who was asked about his forensic abilities, and he didn't know nothing.
For people like those who are let off the hook because the law was weak?
Not the law was weak, the government was dense. Not the law was weak, the government was dense. The government had malice. It's not about the law. The law is strong. Stella stood 5 years. It was supposed to be 5 years. That's a very strong law, just for insults. Never mind that that's unconstitutional. in our view. But she risked 5 years. So that's not a very strong, a very weak law.
So if you can, have a person like a professor at a university who is accused of insulting and actually is sent to jail, then that law is strong.
In your opinion, it is strong. Just a second. The penalties that we issue in this instance, the proposals here, are far much healing. The currency points that we propose, I'll give you an example. One gentleman made utterances against the late Dr. Kalisa that while he was studying, that he was sodomized.
Was he alive? Was he dead?
He was alive.
I wouldn't even want to get into that right on this channel.
You just a second.
Let him rest in peace.
Just a second.
An example I don't want to follow.
Just a second. The other one stated against another gentleman that while that gentleman was working in a certain station, he actually murdered their child and ate them, fed on them, which was not actually true.
It could have been metaphorical.
Just a second. And the child is still moving.
It could have been metaphorical. So many of our lives and futures have been stolen, eaten away, murdered.
Therefore, it's okay. If you're using metaphors, then come and justify in the courts of law.
As we have come, people have come to court to justify.
Why are you worried?
And the courts have let them go because there's non-prosecution.
So, thank you very much.
There's no complainant to turn up.
Now,
these cases haven't been resolved.
What is emphasizing?
I think I'm now vindicated. You see?
No, the thing is, he's saying that there is already a law.
I'm saying
that can be used.
Listen, I'm saying I'm strengthening
misguided law.
Now,
let me tell you.
You see,
I think I've located clearly the bankruptcy of Honorable Nsereko.
Now,
where it lies. You see, it lies in the failure to understand that we make these laws for our democracy. No, I am speaking now.
Can I speak?
Let me speak.
Can I speak? Because
let me speak. It's my turn. We found fault.
Okay.
I'm here to find fault.
You're not finding fault.
Gentlemen,
I'm speaking.
Gentlemen,
sir, I cannot stay here if your moderation lacks the basics. I was speaking.
Yes, but I'm the chair here. And I've given him the microphone now.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Let him get the microphone.
You must allow me to speak.
I will.
Or else you will invite yourself to speak.
You speak after me.
Listen.
Let's
listen to each other.
You want to speak or you want me to speak?
All of you are lawyers.
You think he can shout and I can't do it?
We're not going into a shouting match.
Now, therefore,
no.
If you want me to speak,
unruly.
Just a second.
Unruly.
If you think
he wants to dominate speech,
if you think,
even here,
if you think he can use gunare here,
we
can use it Wesley.
We're not going to get into a shouting match.
Therefore,
we're not going to get into gunare. You're going to respect the chair. You're going to respect the chair.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Buli kumacha kuvira ddala ssaawa 3 okutuukira ddala 5 Monday to Friday z'okukira ku mwasize mutyango owuliriza emboozi ez'enjawulo.
Ekyasooka nali njagala kufuuka musosolodooti be balina emmotoka eziva Italy zino zitroni.
I am a minister. From a house girl to cabinet. Oh my God.
Nze munayagalanga okubyekolera nga nze omuntu ate balina okunjoleza ate balina okukola ki
ebyobulamu.
Nafunye omukyala nga bleedinga naye nga awa history nti amaze ebisanga bimuluma wiiki. Why did you sit at home?
Byokola muvubuka mu ndya mu habits ebintu ebyo bikachinga up naawe.
Okubudaabudibwa n'okubangulwa.
Twagala nnyo okwebuuza ku bantu b'ebweru. Tetutasooka kwebuuza.
Small things can turn 20 years of marriage and take you back into a honeymoon.
Omwana omu kitaawe yamugamba tuula wansi naye ng'omwana ayagala kuyimirira kyavamu n'amukwata n'amutuusa wansi wampaka omwana amugaa taata ntudde naye mu mutima nyimiridde.
Twejjemu omuze okusanga mbu kati nsanze Juli musawo afuse mukwano gwange n'oyagala obeere Juli omusawo essaawa eyo. Juli omusawo yabuuka ennyonyi baamusibako.
Gwe muli olaba omwana wo ow'obuwala asobola okusaba omutonzi amuwa omwami alinga taata we.
It's never too late to do what is right. Osobola okukola ekituufu.
Mwebale kusoma
eno yoshoyoka wosanga answers.
Saako gye nvuddewo abantu abatutumufu mu ggwanga.
Mwasuze mujeyo, oh, nitunzie mapenzi baby, ukinitunzie au.
Nange Farida Nakasiwe. Tosubwa.
On the next episode is brought to you by
Crystal Mineral Water is a sanctuary of refreshment.
On the next episode,
I can't lie here and do nothing. The clinic is so important to our family.
Catherine, where are you? Hello?
Sean!
Oh, sorry, I'm
Sean,
okay, bro.
don't let your kids see you like this, okay?
I'm okay, bro.
I have to go. Pull yourself together.
I never expected for her to tell me that I could still keep my job. I thought...
Crystal Mineral Water is a sanctuary of refreshment. The quality of each crystal bottle is stringently verified.
Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guests tonight are Honorable Muhammad Nsereko and Mr. Isaac Semakadde. I'm going to open the lines so that you can be a part of this discussion. You're going to see the number on our screen and tell us what you think. Your name and where you're calling from. I have a call online. Hello. Hello. Okay. I think I have comms challenges to reach that caller, to get that call online. You can try. You're going to see the numbers on the screen. I have another call online. Hello.
Yes, good evening, Patrick.
Good evening. Let me ask my producer to turn up the volume here in the studio so that they can be able to hear you. Your name again?
My name is Paul. I'm calling from Mike.
Paul. Paul, okay, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Nsereko and Semakadde for the conversation. But I have a request that...
Let me ask people in the technical to be able to give me volume in this studio here so that Muhammad and Isaac can hear you. Just stay online.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, a little better now.
Okay, good. So my first comment was to both the panel that this is not a life-threatening event. If there is a disagreement, you guys listen to the chair and wait. I've seen Honorable Nsereko as far as we don't not real influence. Now, going back to the point.
Okay, gentlemen, okay, please, I'm having a communications challenge hearing him. I know you guys, you are hearing that guy, but I'm not hearing him here, please. Can somebody help me? I'm sorry to say that. Can
you, hello?
Okay, can you repeat that?
Okay, I was saying.
Yes.
Hello?
Okay, got that call. I need some technical help to be able. Yeah, but I was training myself. If you could, I don't have selective mutation. My ears are working too. I'm wondering how you're able to do that. But the numbers on your screen, please. You can call us, tell us your name and where you're calling from. And if you have a question, maybe directed to any of my guests here, please say so. Keep it brief so that you can get as many calls as possible. And should you be in disagreement with any of us here, that is normal. It's called debate. But be in disagreement without abuse, because we're not going to tolerate a language that is abusive. Okay. Earlier, I had given you just a minute to respond. Then I continue with the Honorable Muhammad Nsereko as we wait for the callers.
I think I'll be brief. I think the point I wanted to say is that I finally got it. Honorable Nsereko has forgotten that he must legislate for our constitutional democracy. He's forgotten that the hallmarks of constitutional democracy are tolerance, broad-mindedness, and pluralism. A diversity of views, a diversity of minds. He wants to be a headmaster for our speech. He wants the state to appoint a headmaster for what we say, how we say it, how we think it, how we deliver it. That's not in a democracy. That's probably in Saudi Arabia, but not a constitutional democracy. What he is paid to achieve.
How do you
He should be ashamed of himself.
All right. Like you can hear his narrative. construed by falsehoods, blackmail. And I believe that in every society there are laws. And the laws are there to set leaps and bounds. That in the enjoyment of your freedoms, you must know the leaps and bounds. You have freedom of movement, but you can't just walk into this studio. You can't just walk into someone's house. And that's why laws are there. And I would like to say that for as long as you know that you don't supply fake information, you're not abusive to children, you're not abusive to other people in society, you don't preach hate speech to promote tribalism, degrade people's religions, degrade people's personalities, or try to pull down people's businesses and others, for sure there is no need to worry. But if you think you have other ideas to contribute to this without necessarily trying to put it down, you're welcome. We will have public hearings. You can come and bring your views. His views are welcome. But if he thinks they are not welcome, then we shall legislate for him. There are very many people we shall invite, members of the press and everyone, because the process of legislation involves the public. And we shall call them, we shall gazette, advertise, and those people will be called to bring in their views. Categorically clear.
Okay.
Therefore, I believe we can disagree in society without being abusive. So what my friend calls being headmaster of society, I don't know where he gets it from, but I can tell him. I just demonstrated it here. You're my MP. I can tell him. I'm your constituent. I can tell him. I just said shame upon you, and you said that's blackmail. Can I complete? Okay, thank you. Shame upon you. That's my right. It's okay, young man. Calm down. As a constituent, I have the right to call you that. But if you make a law where that becomes an offense,
Isaac, hold on to your point, Isaac. Hold on to your point.
Now everyone can tell a difference between the young man's character and behavior.
Well, I don't know,
and
but
the others. And that's up to them. Therefore, you can respectfully disagree with the position.
Isaac,
I could tell you can.
Yes, Isaac.
Say it again, and I will give you my adjective.
No, but what?
He's younger than me. I told him.
Is that what we want to discuss here? Is that what Ugandans? Is that what you want Ugandans to watch and listen?
That is the mind that is legislating with an intolerant mind.
Isaac, you don't have a microphone right now.
Thank you, moderator. And that is what I've been saying, that we'll give everyone a chance to come and state their case. We have presented our proposals. You can come up with your proposals. If you think just like him, that let the status quo be maintained, say it. If you even think we should repeal the entire law, you can say it.
Okay.
But that is the reason as to why, in a democracy that it talks about, laws are made by Parliament. We brought proposals democratically through presentation of a motion to seek leave to present a private member's bill.
Okay.
And therefore, if he has any input
you have said that several times,
shall take
that
then
the public is open.
Shall consider.
I suppose that is a welcome idea. After all, that's how laws are made. At one point, people like you and others can go and put in their views, or maybe say, you know what, my views were not listened to. Are you going to face the committee?
It's just a shameful thing, you know, to say, from an elite bourgeois perspective, when we are still under pandemic restrictions, that if you don't like my proposals, take the cost, come to Parliament and challenge me. But my colleagues and I, with whom we live in an echo chamber, from whom we want to be, we're seeking protection against you, you know, dimwits. You know, it's a very elitist thing to say.
But it's a democratic way of making laws. That's how laws are made in a democracy that you're trying always to talk about. So
we imagine,
and that you have a chance to participate in the making of the law.
The shame is twofold. One, a legislator who is blind to precedent, who gives no meaning to a Supreme Court authority, who gives no meaning to a binding precedent from the African court. Now, when a legislator says that I will, regardless, get it done because my colleagues can give me consensus, that's an unruly, shameful, person. He's abusing law. He's abusing the privilege of parliamentary, space. And this is abuse. This is Honorable Nsereko and like-minded fellows who gave him that consent or leave to produce this thing want to use parliament, the positions they have, to fight very personal tiffs and beefs.
But where are you getting that from?
Oh, I will tell you this. I will tell you. Let me give you Honorable Nsereko, for instance, his psych diagram.
Yeah, but what I'm not going to give you, what I'm not going to allow, is to start name calling.
No, there will be no name calling.
For them to rebut.
Patrick, you can trust that I'm an attorney and a very good one.
That's okay.
Yeah. So I will tell you the abuse. Let's look at the
lawyers,
of
but what
this
I want to tell you, I do not want you to mention somebody who is not here to respond to.
No, I'm only going to mention Nsereko, the move of this bill. Honorable Nsereko has periodically made a blunder on the parliamentary hands. No, you are the mover.
At least you are here. You can.
Yeah, you are the mover. Yes,
you respond.
You are the mover, and I'm impugning your motivations.
So from here,
I am impugning your motivations in presenting this bill. Honorable Nsereko is a violent man. In 2012, he beat up a police officer, Godfrey Musovya. In 2016, on his second term, he beat up a journalist of New Vision, Farouk Kasule. That's how he acts offline. Online, Honorable Nsereko is one of the most visible, loud persons on Facebook. He has attacked everybody. He knows. Before the cult of Bobby, emerged, he used to go at it at President Museveni. He used to go against Mama Mbabazi and everybody.
But going against them is not being critical. Is not
I have no problem with that. We loved him. We celebrated him. We have voted him. Okay. Even against a mega wave, Honorable Nsereko has been a resilient brand. So why does he distrust the mechanics of democracy? Honorable Nsereko, we want our right to call you a fool and a dimwit, a stupid man who doesn't deserve our vote. That's our constitutional right. You don't have the right to say that I will now use parliamentary space and get MPs and tell them that, did you see what happened to me? Did you see how hard it was for me to sail past the Bobby Brigade and come back to parliament? Does anybody want it? Of course, everybody is going to say no. Honorable Nsereko, you're a hero. But you are the one who is the best poster boy.
Yes. Okay.
Of course, they will agree with you because they are selfish.
All right. You want me to speak?
Okay.
But that's not how democracy works.
You've made your point, Isaac.
The young man who wants to preempt stands here by trying to use derogatory speech in building his narrative.
Honorable Nsereko, you've been charged for beating Musovya and for beating Kasule.
He's moving away from substance.
Okay, let him respond, because there are many things you've said, so please give him the right to respond.
And in any case, I think the young man has something on the head.
And in doing so, you use
that's
how you use the law. You misuse the law.
Look, you had
the law.
In future, if you want, if you wish to host me on such a platform,
just give him a platform. Please continue.
My proposal would be, unfortunately, I didn't have that time to make that proposal, that more people with better civility than this gentleman would be on the show. Of course you don't, because your upbringing is such that
you are land friends, and can't you give each other?